ہے میری یتیم ہوں، بعد حسین کس نے کہا میں یتیم ہوں؟ رو کر کہا سکینہ نے لاش حسین پر، رو کر کہا سکینہ نے لاش حسین پر، اب جا کے یہ یقین ہوا میں یتیم ہوں، بعد حسین کس نے کہا میں یتیم ہوں؟ اور بولی سکینہ شمر سے کانوں پہ رکھ کے ہاتھ، بولی سکینہ شمر سے کانوں پہ رکھ کے ہاتھ، گوہر نہ چھین بہر خدا میں یتیم ہوں، بعد حسین کس نے کہا میں یتیم ہوں؟ اور میں اپنے آنسوؤں سے بجھا دوں گی اپنی پیاس، میں اپنے آنسوؤں سے بجھا دوں گی اپنی پیاس، دریا سے لوٹ آؤ چچا میں یتیم ہوں، بعد حسین کس نے کہا میں یتیم ہوں؟ اور سر رکھ دیا سکینہ نے زینب کی گود میں، سر رکھ دیا سکینہ نے زینب کی گود میں، رکھنا پھوپھی خیال میرا میں یتیم ہوں، بعد حسین کس نے کہا میں یتیم مقتل سے آ رہی ہے صدا میں یتیم ہوں، بعد حسین کس نے کہا میں یتیم ہوں؟ محمد وعلی باري ذكر الصلوات اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Mu'mineen Mu'minat, Assalamu alaikum. Just a few quick announcements and reminders. The first one, our scheduled programs for this week will continue through Sunday night with guest speaker Sayyid Bilal Rizvi, Shab Shahadat in Tabut of Imam Zain al-Abidin alayhi salam. Start on Wednesday with guest speaker Maulana Abid Bilgrami Sahab, who will be lecturing in Urdu. That program will go following Sunday, a 5-night lecture series, and next Saturday, October 21st, is our annual Shab-e-Azab program, which will be joined by guest Naha Khan, Janab Mir Hassan Mir. Lastly, if I can ikhlas for all the marhumeen of today's sponsors and for all the marhumeen on our Jafri Memorial Board. Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad, salawat. Muhammad. On behalf of Jaffa Islamic Society, I'd like to take a moment to welcome and thank Sayyid Bilal Rizvi for accepting our invitation this year for this series of majalis. This is Sayyid Bilal's first time at Jaffa Islamic Society, and just a brief bio on him for those of you who are not familiar. He has been lecturing since 2012 across the states and internationally. He has a bachelor's degree in biology and a master's in medical sciences, and has had the opportunity to study classical seminary texts under different scholars, and is continuing his Islamic studies currently in Najaf. If you can all join me in inviting Sayyid Bilal Rizvi up to the minbar with a loud salawat upon Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. Allahumma. If you guys can come forward a little bit, please.
رحم الله من قرأ سورة الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله، والصلاة والسلام على إمام القبلتين ونبي الحرمين وأفضل الثقلين وجد الحسن والحسين، الذي سمي في السماء بأحمد وفي الأرض بأبي القاسم محمد. وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الصادقين. عما بعد، يكون الله في كتابه الكريم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ولا تقتلوا النفس التي حرم الله إلا بالحق، ومن قتل مظلوما فقد جعلنا لوليه سلطان في القتل إنه كان منصورا. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. For the protection of the believers and for the hastening of the reappearance of the master of our time, Sallu ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. For the love of Imam al-Hussein, one more salawat ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. The beauty of the movement of Imam al-Hussein in Karbala lies in the fact that when you begin to analyze this movement from different angles and different lenses, you'll begin to extract different dimensions and realities of this movement. Realities which coincide with each other and not contradict each other. From one angle, when you look a regime which, following in the footsteps of those that came before him, had deviated from the path of the Prophet to such an extent that within 50 years, those who came to the fold of Islam because of Rasulullah had gathered to kill the grandson of Rasulullah within 50 years. And you find Imam Muhammad al-Baqir would state that each of those 30,000 had gathered to kill Imam al-Hussein seeking nearness towards Allah. That you find that this was the state of society, and at the outward level, the Imam, he had his movement against this. But you find that there is an esoteric and inward reality of this movement. A reality that shows that this movement of Imam al-Hussein is one which started in the time period of Adam, and it's a movement which will accumulate in the return of the 12th Imam. You find that the movement of Karbala, it's a movement which represents a movement against that ignorance within man, those vices which hinder man from achieving his maximum potential, that maximum potential about which Allah says, لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِينٍ, that we created man in the best of forms. And you find in Ziyaratul Arba'een, that Ziyaratul Arba'een, which is amongst the alamat of a mu'min, according to the famous narration, we say about the Imam that you sacrificed yourself in order to save mankind from that ignorance and from the confusion of going astray. That this goes to show that this movement of Karbala, that although from the outward level it may seem limited, it's an ongoing movement. That this movement, on one side when you had Adam and on the other side you had Shaitan, you find it's one leg of this movement. Continuing along, when you have Nuh, you find that in Nuh's time period, those who believed in him, they boarded the ark, whereas those who disbelieved, they opposed Nuh, another leg of this movement. In the time period of Ibrahim, another leg of this movement. Musa and Pharaoh, another leg of this movement. But you find which differentiates the day of Ashura from all of these different parts of this movement of haqq and batil, of truth and falsehood, is that never were the two sides of truth and falsehood as clear as they were on the day of Ashura. That after the day of Ashura, either you are on the side of Hussein or you are against the side of Hussein. You know, they said to Shah Ahmad Nurani, he wasn't a Shia scholar, they said to him within the subcontinent, they said, "Oh man, you mourn Karbala, are you a Shia?" Shah Ahmad Nurani replied by saying, after Karbala, there is no Shia, there is no Sunni. Either you are with the side of Hussein or you are against the side of Hussein. And I try my best to be on the side of Hussein. That there is new neutrality after Karbala. And you find this movement of Karbala is a movement which will accumulate within the 12th of Ali Muhammad. You see, whenever you have a journey, correct? A journey has a starting point and it has an ending point. It has an ibtida and an intiha. And the topic which I've decided for tonight's majlis is the journey from Karbala to the zuhur and the return of the 12th Imam. And I decided this topic that number one, tonight is a Thursday night. This is that night which is makhsus to the Imam of our time. That narrations they mention that upon Thursday night, that on this night our deeds are presented towards the Imam of the time. topic of this journey from Karbala to the return of the Imam, it's important because it links an event in history towards the contemporary time period today. That when you have the movement of Karbala, you find that the movement of Karbala has an application within today's society, and you begin to maximize that application once you begin to understand the relation of this movement to the return of the 12th Imam. And this discussion today will take place in a number of different stages. Number one, what are the prerequisites that we need to make this journey of advancement towards the 12th Imam's return? Number two, what is the link between Imam al-Hussein and the 12th Imam? Number three, how can we build the connection with the 12th Imam? And number four, how can we measure how we have made this journey in the path from Karbala to the return of the Imam? And based upon these points, we'll begin to analyze this topic of Karbala to the return of the 12th Imam. You see, whenever you make a journey, as I was saying, that a journey has a beginning and an ending point. But when you look at this journey, many of us, we look at this journey in time. That 1350 to 1400 years have passed since Karbala towards today. But you find that this is only one type of journey. This is that journey which is called Safaruz Zamani. But there are different types of journey as well which represent the advancement of a human being. Another type of journey which a person can make is something called Safarul Fikri, that a person, he makes an intellectual journey and development. You know, sometimes you see a person, he goes from the age of 20 to the age of 30, but he hasn't mentally developed or matured. But sometimes you see a person, within 1 year, he's made a 10-year journey in development. That people, they go on different paces when it comes to this journey of the advancement of a human being. From Karbala to be ready for the 12th Imam, you find people, they go at different paces intellectually. Some may start at a different point in life. Some may start at an earlier point in life. Some they move faster, some they move slower. But we don't have the right to say to anyone else that you are not the Azadar and the mourner of Hussein, that you are not on the path of Hussein, because you find that we travel on different wavelengths. That Amir al-Mu'mineen would say that the ways to Allah are as many as the people who breathe air upon this earth. That the ways to Allah, that when we have the religion of Islam, some of us may be attracted to Islam through the supplication and the spirituality within supplication. Some of us may be attracted to Islam because of the morality. Some may be attracted through the theology. Some may be attracted through the aza and the matam of Sayyid al-Shuhada. But you don't have the right to say to anyone else that your path is incorrect. All of these paths are those paths in the way of Imam al-Hussein, but we're traveling at different wavelengths. And you find to travel on this journey from Karbala to the return of the Imam, there are certain prerequisites we need to maximize our development. The first of those prerequisites is that when one wants to make a journey in the path of Hussein, he has to distance himself from dhulm and oppression. You see, dhulm, it could be of different types. Sometimes you have dhulm within belief. You know, the Quran, it says, Luqman, he speaks to his son. He says to his son, Ya bunayya, la tushrik billah, inna shirqa la dhulmun adhim. He says, oh my son, don't ascribe partners to Allah. For ascribing partners to Allah is a great oppression. That over here, you find incorrect belief has been found as to be a form of oppression. But you find continuing along this line that when a person, he begins to fundamentalize himself and root himself in proper fundamentals within belief, he'll begin to make this journey towards the path of Imam al-Hussein. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. You find from the second level, when a person, he makes this journey in the path of Imam al-Hussein, the second attribute which he needs is sabr and patience. that you find when you work in the way of Allah, there are obstacles which come within this way. But the reality of patience is that reality which allows one to ascend the highest realms of spirituality. And from the third level, to make this journey, you find that one must develop himself intellectually and continue his intellectual development. For after all, we, the followers of Ahlul Bayt, are the followers of that Imam, that when he would sit on the mimbar, that he would say, Saluni, Saluni, qabla an tafqiduni, ask me things. They said to themselves that we'll go and ask Ali the same question 10 different times. If Ali is 8 different times, we'll join the answer, we'll go and comes out. He says, knowledge or wealth. The Imam replies by saying, knowledge is greater than wealth, because you protect your wealth, whereas your knowledge protects you. The second one comes out. He says, Ya Ali, what is greater? Knowledge is greater than wealth. For knowledge is the inheritance of the prophets, whereas wealth is the inheritance of Pharaoh. Third person, same question. Ya Ali, knowledge or wealth? The Imam says, knowledge is greater than wealth over time, whereas knowledge, it accumulates in depth over time. Fourth person, Ya Ali, knowledge, he sleeps comfortably at night, whereas the one with wealth, he may have many enemies that prevent him from sleeping comfortably. The Imam answers in 10 different ways. They say to become your followers. The Imam says, why have you decided to become my follower? They say, because you answer the same question different ways. The Imam replies by saying, if you kept asking me the same question till the day of this question in different ways, that this is Amir al-Mu'mineen, and this is the big Imam. But you find when you go, there is a strong intrinsic link between Imam al-Hussein and Imam al-Hujjah ajjalallahu ta'ala farajah al-Sharif. Would say, Kulluna min nurin wahid, that all of us Ahlul Bayt, we are from one light. That despite all of Ahlul Bayt being from one light, there are two individuals amongst Ahlul Bayt that share a special connection, and that is Imam. You know, even when you go into narrations, correct, you'll find that there are 300 narrations. The 12th Imam, they describe him through being from the lineage of Imam al-Hussein. And out of those 300 narrations, 180 of them are from Rasulullah. That Rasulullah has 180 narrations that he says that he will be from the lineage of Imam al-Hussein. Towards other individuals, these two individuals, you know, the sixth Imam, it's fantastic that when he speaks about his grandfather, sometimes he has lines which leave you bewildered. That the sixth Imam, when speaking about his grandfather Imam al-Hussein, we read in Ziyaratul Waritha where he says, Bi anta wa ummi, that may my father and my mother be sacrificed for you, O Hussein. That who is the father of the Imam? The father of the Imam is also an Imam, that he's saying, may an infallible Imam al-Hussein. But you find the same Imam as-Sadiq, when he's speaking about the 12th Imam, he shows that level of respect. That our 6th Imam has a narration where he says, that if I, Jafar as-Sadiq, was alive in the time period of Al-Qa'im, I would spend my entire life being his servant. That, you know, you didn't fathom the greatness of this statement. That an infallible Imam is saying that if I was alive in the time period of the 12th of Ali Muhammad, my entire life would be spent being his servant. That tamanna and desire which Imam as-Sadiq had, you find that the Shia within this time period, they have the opportunity to fulfill that desire. You see, this is that time period, Akhiruz Zaman, as they say. This is that time period where it's a difficult time period. Some hadith say that a person who'll wake up in the day with Iman, when he goes to sleep, he'll lose that belief. And sometimes a person will go to sleep with belief. When he wakes up in that morning, that belief will be, it's a time of trial. It's also a time of reward and opportunity, that you have the chance to be the servant of the 12th Imam of Ali Muhammad. Who is this Imam? You know, this is that Imam. When Imam Ali ibn Musa al-Rida, when he would be in the court of Al-Ma'mun, you know, the Abbasid Khulafa, they knew within the end of times, Rasulullah has a hadith that says Al-Mahdi would come, Ajjalallahu ta'ala farajahu al-Sharif. So what they began to do is they began to name each of their children's Mahdi, Mahdi, Mahdi. You find Al-Ma'mun had done the same thing, that he named his child Mahdi. You find every time Al-Ma'mun would call his son Mahdi, Imam al-Rida would stand up out of respect. They would say to Imam al-Rida that Ma'mun is calling his son, why are you standing up? Imam al-Rida replied by saying that I'm not standing up for his son Mahdi, because his son is the one who gets hit by his father and he gets hit by his neighbors and he suffers abuse from here and there. No, I am standing up for my grandson who is within my lineage, that when his name is taken, his grandfather Ali ibn Musa al-Rida stands up out of respect. That who is this Imam al-Rida? You know, this is that Imam whose jalal and grandeur was at such an extent that when they told Al-Ma'mun that anyone who sees Ali ibn Musa al-Rida becomes his followers, Ma'mun says, very well, let's bring him towards Khurasan. When they bring him towards Khurasan, Ma'mun, he gives the order that make sure nobody sees the face of Ali ibn Musa al-Rida, because when they see his face, they begin following him. When he comes towards Khurasan, you find the people, they find out that it's the Imam. They say, Ya Yabna Rasulallah, can you narrate just one hadith for us? You find the Imam, he comes out, he says, I heard my father Musa al-Kadhim say, who heard from his father Ja'far al-Sadiq, who heard from his father Muhammad al-Baqir, who heard from his father Zain al-Abidin, who heard from his father Imam al-Hussein, who heard from his brother Imam al-Hassan, who heard from his father Amir al-Mu'mineen, who heard from Rasulullah, upon whom Jibreel descended and says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, La ilaha illallah hisni faman dakhala hisni amina min adabi. That La ilaha illallah is my fortress, and the one who enters my fortress will be saved from my punishment. At that point, all those individuals, they begin to look. They say, that's it, La ilaha illallah, and then you're going to be saved. The Imam, he comes out again. He says, Wa sharteha wa shuruteha, that there are conditions to La ilaha illallah. I, Ali ibn Musa al-Rida, am one of those conditions to La ilaha illallah. That this is that Imam. You know, Ahmad bin Hanbal wasn't a Shia scholar, but Ahmad bin Hanbal would say that if this chain of narrators, not the hadith, if this chain of narrators is recited upon somebody suffering from insanity, that person would be cured from his insanity. Why? Because this is that chain where everyone is ma'soom. So you see a grandfather like this, Imam al-Rida, he shows the maximum level of respect towards the 12th Imam. But in the same way, you find he would show that respect towards his grandfather, Imam al-Hussein. You know, it's stated when Imam al-Rida was upon his deathbed, he said to those around him that remove the covering and allow me to sleep upon the floor. They said to the Imam, oh Imam, there's poison running through your body. Why are you requesting this? The Imam replied by saying, just for a moment, I want to feel what my grandfather had felt in Karbala. You see, each Imam, one after another, there were two individuals they remembered, Imam al-Hussein and Imam al-Hujjah. And this is why the movement of the 12th Imam, it revolves around Karbala. Even when you look within the narrations, for example, there is a narration of the 6th Imam found in the book Al-Ghaiba of Shaykh al-Tusi. And there are different books called Al-Ghaiba of different scholars, but this is the one of Shaykh al-Tusi. You find the 6th Imam would say that on the 23rd of Dhul Hijjah, a call will be made in the heavens, and on the 10th of Muharram, the 12th Imam will be standing in front of the Kaaba. That he could have picked any day. It could have been the 9th of Muharram, it could have been the 11th, but the fact that the Imam, he openly starts his revolution on the day of Ashura, it goes to show that there is a link between the movement of Imam al-Hussein and the movement of the 12th Imam. And you know, there is one narration, and this narration Ayatollah Bahjat would mention towards his students. He says that when the Imam returns, he'll stand in front of the Kaaba and he'll make 5 statements, and each of those 5 statements he'll describe himself through Imam al-Hussein. You find the Imam. Imagine that you're standing there. The Imam is in front of the Kaaba. He looks out. He says, Ala ya ahl al-alam, ana imamul qa'im. He says, O people of the world, know I am that Imam who will uprise. Then he says, Ala ya ahl al-alam, ana samsamul muntaqim. O people of the world, know that I am the revenger. And then you know what he says? He says, Ala ya ahl al-alam, inna jaddi al-Husayn qataluhu adshanan. He says, O people of the world, know that my grandfather was killed thirsty. Then he says, Ala ya ahl al-alam, inna jaddi al-Husayn tarahuhu uryanan. O people of the world, my grandfather is the one that after they killed him, they didn't even leave the clothes upon his body. Then he says, Ala ya ahl al-alam, inna jaddi al-Husayn sahaquhu udwanan. That my grandfather Hussein is the one whom they trampled his body into pieces after they killed him. You see, the pain of the Imam is that the Imam, he remembers Karbala. And it is Karbala which drives forth the movement of the Imam. That's why the Sixth Imam would say that when the army of Imam al-Qa'im, when that army, it begins to feel weakness, their slogan will be, Ya litarat al-Husayn, oh the blood of Hussein, and then they will be energized through the slogan. You know, I don't know if you've gone to Mina or gone towards Karbala, but the moment you hear Labbaika ya Hussein, you feel that this energy, it begins to go through the room. You find in the same way the 12th Imam, his army will be energized through the name of Imam al-Hussein, through that slogan, Ya litarat al-Hussein, oh the blood of Hussein. And this is why when you look at this Imam, this is that Imam that when you want to build a connection with him, you build that connection by understanding Karbala. Because you know the problem is this, that many of us, when we say we have an Imam, we don't feel the reality of the Imam. You know, within relationships, philosophers, they've stated there are two types of relationships. The first is the relationship of association. The second is the relationship of dissolution. What do each of these mean? When you have the relationship of association, imagine you have a cup. Within that cup, you put milk and honey. When you put milk and honey together, they're associated metal together. When it comes to the Imam, many of us, we have a relationship of association with him. That he's the Imam, we are his followers. But the goal is a relationship of dissolution. That our wants and desires are burned into the wants and the desires of the Imam. That when we walk, it's within the footsteps of the Imam. And you find the Imam, he gives to those in return who take these footsteps. That you look at an individual like Muqaddas al-Ardbili. You know Muqaddas al-Ardbili, he's going from Ardbil towards Karbala. When he's going from Ardbil towards Karbala, he gets a camel from someone. The person says, you can take the camel and you can carry this much amount on it. You find Muqaddas al-Ardbili, he gets upon the camel. He's going towards Karbala. On his way towards Karbala, a man comes with a letter. He says, Oh Muqaddas, can you deliver this letter? Muqaddas al-Ardbili, at that point, he takes the letter, he gets off the camel. They say to him that, why did you get off the camel? He says, I only had permission to carry this amount of stuff upon the camel. I didn't have permission to carry this letter. Because of this, I'll take this letter within my hand and I'll walk towards Karbala. Muqaddas al-Ardbili, he begins to walk towards Karbala. As he's walking towards Karbala, a man upon his horse, he comes up to Muqaddas al-Ardbili. He says, oh man, do you need a ride? Where are you going? He says, I'm going towards Karbala. Muqaddas al-Ardbili, he agrees to get upon the horse. The man, he begins to speak towards Muqaddas. He says, oh man, how is this person within your town? He says, he's a good person. Then he says, how is this other person? He says, he's a good person. Then he says to Muqaddas al-Ardbili, how is Sheikh Ahmad? That Muqaddas al-Ardbili, his real name was Sheikh Ahmad. Muqaddas al-Ardbili, he puts his head down. He says Sheikh Ahmad is a man who could do much better, for he is battling his nafs at this moment. You find the man, he turns around to Muqaddas al-Ardbili. He says, "Oh Muqaddas al-Ardbili, if Sheikh Ahmad wasn't a good person, then he wouldn't be sitting upon the horse with the Imam of his time." That this is that connection which an individual can have with the Imam. You know, the same Muqaddas, it's narrated that he goes to the shrine of Amir al-Mu'mineen in Najaf. When he goes towards that shrine, he goes with a problem. He hears a voice from the shrine say, "Oh Muqaddas, my son Mahdi al-Ardbili," he replies by saying, "Oh my master, it's the time period of Ghaiba. Where would I go find him?" The Imam, the voice comes from the grave. He says, "Go to Masjid al-Sahla and you'll find him within Masjid al-Sahla." You find Muqaddas al-Ardbili, he goes towards Masjid al-Sahla. When he goes to Masjid al-Sahla, he sees the Imam crying with tears coming down from his eyes. Muqaddas al-Ardbili says, "Oh Mawla, oh Master, why are you crying like this?" The Imam replies by saying, "I am crying because whenever my Shia, they have a problem, they don't come towards me." Muqaddas al-Ardbili, he says towards the Imam, "Oh Imam, it's the time period of ghaiba and occultation. They don't know where you are." The Imam replies by saying, "They don't have to come to me. I'll find them wherever their problems they are." That you see that it's connecting with the Imam of the time, which allows one to feel the realities of Karbala and to transcend the realms of spirituality. That you think of this Imam, that you realize what this occultation is, and you realize that this Imam is that Imam, that when he feels pain, there is no pain he feels more than the pain of Karbala. As we say in Dua Nudba, we say, "Ayna talibu bidam al-maqtul bi-Karbala." Where is the one who will avenge Karbala? You know, narrations, they state that every Thursday night, this Friday night, this Thursday night, as we say, the narrations, they state that the Imam, he places his hand upon the Dhul Fiqar. When he places his hand upon the Dhul Fiqar, he says, "Oh Allah, do I have your permission to start this movement?" Allah replies by saying that your followers, they aren't ready upon this moment. You see, this is that Imam. He felt pain for Karbala. But when you look at that musibah which he felt pain for, each Imam in particular, they remember the musibah of Aba Fadl Abbas. You know, you heard the marthiyah for Sakina. Whenever you hear the musibah of Sakina, the heart, it starts to think of Abbas as well. For Abbas is that individual whom the hopes of Sakina, they lied in Abbas. No, rather the hopes of all of Ahlul Bayt, they lied in Abbas. Then you know who Abbas was? Abbas was the one whom Amir al-Mu'mineen would supplicate for a son like Abbas. Abbas was the one who was born for Karbala. You know, when the mother of Abbas, al-Baneen, when she marries Amir al-Mu'mineen, she goes to the house of the Imam. Before entering the house of the Imam, she stands at the doorsteps and she begins to cry. Sayyidah Zainab and Kulthum, they come out. They say, "Oh, doorsteps." She replies by saying that, "How can I go into a house where your mother Fatima Zahra used to reside within that house?" You see, this is the mother of Abbas. This is how Abbas had that loyalty towards Ahlul Bayt. Hazrat Abbas was born. Amir al-Mu'mineen, he wrapped him within a white cloth. When he wrapped him within a white cloth, he left arm of Abbas. This was something strange, because whenever a child was born, when al-Baneen, she cried, and the Imam says, "Oh al-Baneen, why are you crying?" She says, "Why did you kiss the arms of Abbas instead instead of the forehead? Is it because Abbas is the son of a slave? Me, Amir al-Mu'mineen replied by saying, "Oh al-Baneen, it's not that he is the son of a slave. I kiss the arms, for these are those arms which will be cut for my son Hussein within Karbala." You know, this is that Abbas. It was the day of Ashura. Abbas would come and ask permission from the Imam, but the Imam would say, "Oh Abbas, you are the flag bearer of my army." Abbas, he would look towards the right, he would look towards the left, he would say, "Oh my master, which army is left that I am the flag bearer of?" You find Abbas, he goes away, but it's at that moment Sakina comes towards her uncle Abbas. She says, "Oh my uncle Abbas, can you bring us water?" You find the Imam, he gives permission to Aba Fadl Abbas. Abbas, he takes the water, he takes that water bag, he takes the alam and a spear within his hand. He goes towards the Furat, he makes it towards the Furat, he picks up the water from the Furat, but at that moment he throws away the water. I don't know what Aba Fadl Abbas saw within the water, but maybe he saw the reflection of Sakina. You find he takes the water, he fills it in the water bag, he begins to return back towards the tents, but that moment it comes when they cut the right arm of Abbas. He goes a little farther, they cut the left arm of Abbas. You find the water bag, an arrow goes into the bag, the water, it begins to pour, but then there was one more arrow, it goes into the right eye of Abbas. You know, there was a reciter, he was reciting the Musiba of Abbas. He said this line, that an arrow went into the eye of Abbas. There was a scholar there by the name of Ayatollah Yahya Yathrabi. He said to the reciter, "Don't recite this Musiba, you don't know if it's authentic." That night, when Ayatollah Yahya Yathrabi, when he goes to sleep, he sees Aba Fadl Abbas within his dreams. Aba Fadl Abbas, he says, "Oh Yahya Yathrabi, why did you stop my reciter?" Ayatollah Yahya Yathrabi, he says, "I didn't know if the Musiba was authentic." Aba Fadl Abbas says, "It is authentic. An arrow went into my eye, but when something goes in your eyes, you use your hands to take it out. I didn't have any arms, so I would move my shoulders. Then I took that arrow, I put it in between my knees, I pulled that arrow." This is the Musiba of Abbas. But you know, the mother of Abbas wasn't within Karbala. The mother of Abbas, she wasn't there. You know, when this caravan, it returns towards Medina, Imam Zainul Abidin says to Bashir, "Oh Bashir, your father used to recite poetry. Do you also recite poetry?" Bashir, he says, "Yes, I do." The Imam, he says, "Then tell the people of Medina what has happened." Bashir, he goes out, he says, "Ala ya ahlal Yathrib." He doesn't say Medina, because it was called Medina after Rasulullah came. Now after Hussein, he doesn't call it Medina anymore. He says, "Qad qutila Hussein bi Karbala." Hussein has been killed in Karbala. The Maqtal, it states, at that moment al-Baneen, she heard this call. She said to the son of Abbas, "Fadl, come with me." In one hand she had an asa, her other arm was around Fadl. She goes towards Bashir. She says, "Oh Bashir, you said that Hussein has been killed. Which Hussein has been killed?" He says, "Oh Bibi, the son of Fatima Hussein, the son of Ali Hussein, the grandson of Rasulullah Hussein." al-Baneen says, "Oh Bashir, this isn't possible. How is it that Abbas was there and my Hussein was killed?" Bashir says, "Oh Bibi, Abbas was killed Abbas. Then Hussein was killed. Al-Baneen says, oh Bashir, Abbas is my son. Maybe you don't know Abbas. How is it that somebody killed Abbas? Bashir says that a sword had struck him upon his head. Al-Baneen says, oh Bashir, how could Abbas not stop a sword? Bashir says, oh Al-Baneen, Abbas didn't have any arms. The riwayat it says, Al-Baneen, she falls on the floor of Medina. When she gets up, she says, oh Bashir, just tell me one thing. Whenever somebody falls, they use their hands to break the fall. My Abbas, he didn't have any arms. Was it the chest of Abbas or the face of Abbas? على لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين. Raise your hands, raise your hands. You know, one wasila. You know, one narration states that on the day of judgment, Fatima al-Zahra shall come in front of everyone, and her arms will be two cut arms. She'll say, oh Allah, if these two arms of Abbas aren't enough for the intercession of this ummah, then I also have the shirt of Hussein. I say, Ya Allah, on this Thursday night, to the right of Bab al-Hawaij, Aba Fadl Abbas, wherever the followers of Ahlul Bayt are in difficulty, give them help within these times. Wherever they're facing trials, whether material, whether physical, whether spiritual, help them. We pray for those who are protecting our shrines. We pray for the opportunity to go to the ziyarah of Ahlul Bayt, particularly the ziyarah in Karbala. We pray for the strength and the tawfiq to walk upon the path of Muhammad and Ali Muhammad, to follow the footsteps of Muhammad and Ali Muhammad, to be granted the intercession of Muhammad and Ali Muhammad. And Ya Allah, our every dua, it ends with this dua. We pray for the hastening of the reappearance of the master of our time, Matam Hussein.
Ya Hussein, 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 Ya Hussein. है ज़ैनब है शाम, 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 है ज़ैनब है शाम. जूं जूं बाजार करीब आया, ज़ैनब को गाजी याद आया, ज़ैनब को गाजी याद आया. जूं जूं बाजार करीब आया, ज़ैनब को गाजी याद आया, ज़ैनब को गाजी याद आया. है ज़ैनब है शाम, है ज़ैनब है शाम. जूं जूं बाजार करीब आया, ज़ैनब को गाजी याद आया, ज़ैनब को गाजी याद आया. हाथों से या फिर बालों से चेहरे को छुपा ले शहजादी, ये शाम शहर की गलियां हैं, दिल थाम ले आकाज़ादी. फिजा ने जब ये बतलाया, ज़ैनब को गाजी याद आया, ज़ैनब को गाजी याद आया. है ज़ैनब है शाम, है ज़ैनब है शाम. जूं जूं बाजार करीब